I'm recording it. Then just a moment, please. Trying to. Okay, let's not waste our time. I think. So there is. Can you all hear me? Am I communicating?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. I can hear you from here.
Okay. So you need to, in as much you are in IT. Okay. In as much you are in IT, you must ensure that there is. You need to strike a balance. Okay. In as much you are in IT, you need to understand storage optimization very, very well to strike the balance, because these are where a lot of cost is being incurred. So you need to put what I call a storage strategy in place. So there are tailored storage strategy you can adopt. Like in the case of AWS, if you are using AWS Cloud, you can privilege S3, that is simple storage service. That is the meaning of S3, intelligent, which is a kind of a tie. They put it in different groups that you can automatically move data to most cost-effective storage class based on the access pattern, maybe the time you access the data. So you need to have that type of strategy. In the case of Microsoft Azure, you can implement what we call block storage lifecycle management policy. And this will help you to automate data sharing and archiving. So the archival principle, the archiving technology will help you to, when data can be archived based on the retention policies that you have set. In the case of GCP, there is what we call you can utilize the object, what GCP have, which is the Google Cloud Platform. They have capability for lifecycle management and what we call code line storage that will help you to manage your costs. In IBM, there is object storage with flexible pricing type based on the lifecycle policy set as well. Then there is what we call data deduplications or compression. Here is that if you are not careful, many data can be replicated and you don't need it. And so you need to reduce your storage costs by eliminating any type of data duplications and compress file where appropriate. And so this is important. Beyond that, we look at what we call beyond on demand. And that is, there is what we call reserve instances or spot instances. And all the cloud, actually, in fact, especially the big three, have it. You can privilege on reserve instances, okay, where you maximize saving with your the ROI and saving plan, and unleash the power of spot instance, or even use what I call customization of an autonomous efficiency. And when we talk about maximizing saving or having a saving plan in place, like AWS, Azure, and GCP, you can reserve and get an offer. Let's say you have planned to use an EC2 from AWS, for instance, or use a virtual machine from Microsoft Azure, or you plan to use a particular resource, and you know you are going to use it for the next 1 to 3 years, you can actually assure them by doing reservation. When you do reservation, you can save up to 75%. In some of them, I know that for AWS, Azure, I think is around 72% or something. GCP around, depending on how many years, I think up to 65%. So when you are committed that, look, you are assuring them that I want to use 1, 2, 3, or even one instance from you for the next 12 months, up to 3 years, depending, you will be saving a lot of money. So you can take note of that. Then for IBM, you can do what we call subscription, which is based on offer discount. They offer discount based on committed usage, that I want to use X amount of infrastructure. Mostly for AWS, it's mostly around EC2 and some other thing. For Azure, around the instances, virtual machines, and also around the SQL, the Azure SQL database and stuff like that. And then for spot instances, majorly AWS and Azure have spot instances. For GCP, we call it preemptible VPN, which is actually similar to spot instances. Spot instances allow you to bid on an unused compute capacity that you can potentially save up to 90% on the demand price. That means because you are not using it, there are a kind of spot that is available that you can bid on. And when you win the bid, you will save a lot. And in the case of GCP, it's called preemptible VM, which offers similar cost saving for non-critical workload. And you can also implement what I call customization to have a kind of an ultimate efficiency. In the case of GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform, you can customize your machines to enable you to tailor the virtual machines to a kind of configuration that is specific for your workload requirement, the deployment you want to do. Maybe a financial application, fintech application, e-commerce application, AI applications, depending on the type of workload you are defending. When I refer to workload, it means the type of platform, the type of resources you want to get to the cloud. In the case of AWS, you can save, for instance, EC2 instances, and it can have a saving plan that will allow you to optimize costs across the instance families based on the region, on the size, and all that type of thing. Then another thing that is important when we talk about cloud cost optimization, you need to understand the network very well by mastering your network optimization. But that is by trimming down or trimming the data transfer, which I call a beast. Data transfer is a beast and can skyrocket your cost in the cloud to a lot of areas. So you can trim these bits by minimizing the data transfer cost. And that is by utilizing what we call data locality or CDN, content delivery network, or by using data transfer services. When I talk about data locality, I'm talking about designing your own architecture that minimize the data movement between one region to an available zone. Okay? So your architecture is very important for your workload or any type of software you're building, and you want to deploy in any cloud, even in your on-prem, which is your normal data center, whatever. If the architecture is not okay, everything will be messed up. So we'll give you that you must get a very right architecture in place. And in many of these vendors, AWS, cloud, Microsoft Azure, or whatever, they have what I call architectural references, okay? There are reference architecture from them. Some support monolithic architecture, some support a kind of modular architecture. These days, we advise for microservice architecture, and all of them have reference architectures based on the type of product that you want to deploy. Another thing is privileging on what I call the content delivery network, or what we refer to as content delivery network, like Amazon CloudFront, or Microsoft Azure CDM, or Google Cloud CDM, to catch content closer to the users. So if you know that some content need to be very close to the user, you can catch them close, and this will reduce the latency and transfer and reduce the cost of data transfer. Because what happened, it's just like if you are going to America and you need to pay for the air ticket, and somebody is going to London, let's say from Lagos, Nigeria, okay? The distance is not the same. And so The closer the distance, the cheaper the air ticket. Same thing here, same principle. So the closer the data source or the data room to you, the closer the cost will be, the cheaper the cost will be. And so when we also talk about data transfer services, you must explore provider-specific services. Like in the case of AWS, they have what we call the AWS Direct Connect. You can use it to actually reduce data transfer services. I mean cost. The Azure, they have Express Route, or Google have what we call the Google Cloud Interconnect. And for higher speed and low latency connections between your data centers and the cloud. And so these are very, very important. And the earlier I mentioned, this is a deep dive now. Earlier I talked about storage optimization. And so when we do a deep dive into the task architecture and data lifecycle management, there are things that are very important. In the case of AWS S3 Intelligence, the tiling are based, you can use what we call automated cost saving. And this is an AI power feature by AWS that automatically move your object between one access type based on the usage pattern and optimize it without compromising your performance. And in a real world example, for instance, a media company or a church, for instance, can save up to 40% on a storage cost by utilizing what I call the S3 intelligence, tying to archive infrequency access content. In the case of the Microsoft Azure, it has the block storage lifecycle management, and you set this up by utilizing the policy-based automations. And this is done by you set a kind of granular policy to transition based on the block to Cola storage type and based on the age or access frequency or on the other criteria. And beyond that too, there is what we call cost-effective archival by Microsoft Azure, which helps you to archive the storage, a kind of offer, a kind of a low cost storage for long-term retentions and compliance. So you need to look at all those things they provide. And for GCP, you can use what we call nearline or cold line type of storage. When I talk of nearline type of storage system provided by Google Cloud, it is the cost-effective way to access data less, maybe once a month or twice a month, suitable for backup and disaster recovery plan. So there is no point using certain type of storage feature if the purpose of the system is for backup and disaster recovery, okay? And then there is a co-line. Co-line is the most economic option for data access, maybe less than a year, or ideal mostly for, can you people hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can hear you,
Okay.
sir.
We can hear you loud, sir.
Okay.
We can
Can
hear
you
you,
hear
sir.
me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Just give me a few minutes, please. Just give me a moment, please. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Sir, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
We
thank you
can
so
hear
much.
you.
I'm sorry for that. So what I was saying here that is very important for you to know, you need to understand the mission of your whatever you are building. Regardless the application you are building, the software you are building, even a common website, you need to put it out there and for people to say www. Or even if it is an app, for it to work, it is resident somewhere in the cloud. And so you must get used to this. Then there is what we call the IBM cloud. For IBM, there is a flexible storage classes that you can use, right? So my recommendation is that analyze data access pattern. Understand how frequent your data is accessible and classify it into hot, warm, cold, and the one that need to be archived. Not only that, implement what we call life cycle policy, which is hello? Please, if you are not talking, go on mute. Which is to automate. If you are not talking, go off mute, please. Which is to automate the movement between the data based on the predefined roles, okay? And then you consider what I call eliminations of duplications and compression of data. I mentioned that earlier. Then when we are talking about cost-effective computing, this is beyond on-demand instances. If I do a deep dive for each of these cloud providers, number one that I mentioned earlier is reserve instances and cost saving, okay? Which is implemented by practically all of them. In the case of AWS, if you reserve an instance, that is, you assure them that you are going to use it for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, depending, you will get up to 75% discount. Many people are not utilizing that. Azure have the same thing, similar to AWS option. A GCP, it is called committed use discount, and which provide discount for committed for specific use and even region specific for that type of thing. IBM, you can do subscription based and they offer a lot of discount. Then for AWS and GCP and all of them too, they have what we call spot instance. Okay. In the case of GCP, their similarity of spot instance is called preemptible VM. Okay. And this can reduce significant cost saving up to 90% off on demand price, making them ideal for application that require fault tolerance and flexible workload. And the best practice here for spot instances, please, if you are not talking, quickly off mute, okay? Spot instances, I advise specifically that look for the type of instance you want to use and implement what I call check-in point and to manage your interruption. And beyond that, there are machines you can use for to a kind of cost to customize them as well. You define specific, the CPU, the memory, and precise for your workload requirement to avoid what I call over provision. That means you are providing, it's like having more room than you don't need 2 rooms. You are occupying 2 rooms. You will pay more rent, right? So those are the type of thing here. And then you also have what I call actionable recommendations, which I am recommending as expert in this domain. You need to analyze workload pattern. And to get this done, of course, it's not high level. You need to understand the architecture. What is the architectural reference? What is the best practice that I need to adopt? If you analyze the workload pattern, how your data behave, how you can predict the usage and to avoid disruptions and everything, not bringing down performance, increasing performance with little resources, okay? You can utilize, I mentioned earlier, the spot and preemptible instances strategically by bidding on instances that is cost-effective or cost-sensitive workload. And by having what I call a fallback mechanism in place of interruption. And again, you consider, I mentioned that again, that when you consider the custom machine type, which is a standard type, may not directly meet your requirement, but you can customize them to meet your requirement. And that is why understanding the architecture of the infrastructure, understanding the architecture of your own workload is very, very important. And this requires a lot of engineering that need to be put together. Okay. Then we mentioned earlier the network optimization on tapping data transfer costs. I talked about this, about data locality for all the different types. My recommendation here, number one, you need to map your data flow. That is, you visualize how data move within and between your cloud environment. So somebody need to log into app. What functionality is called for that login, for you to log in successfully, for you to be able to do money transfer, or for you to be able to make a call. You need to understand the movement of data when you need to upload picture, download picture, offload them, that type of stuff. You must understand the mechanisms and understand the data separations that take place very well. Number two, you need to automate data transfer by compressing your data, utilizing data between services, and consider caching frequency, accessible data closer to the end users of the application. Then you review from, and so when you put data on the cloud, or once you have a system, a platform running on the cloud, you don't just fold your hand. You must review them from time to time to understand the pricing model from one month to after another, based on the type of how you are billed, okay? Either prepay or post-pay for some cases. And so you must understand the price type for data transfer. Some of them, they charge per hour, or some of them will charge per the gigabyte of the data. Some of them charge, even the data type may be considered a type. So again, there are two out there that you have to master. So you mastering cost management tool and best practice. Number one, there is what we call the cloud native tool, and each of them has it. And there are also third party. Like in the case of MVIT, we are building a tool which we started testing here already in the US. It's called Jericho AI. And the Jericho AI is type of this tool that helps you to analyze the cost of your data in the cloud and predict to you that, look, this is, you are spending here too much. You need to move your data to this way. Using engineering principle is not just talking. You use engineering to review how the system was built, how the pattern of the data flow was built, the networking and everything, and the system used artificial intelligence model that we are training to predict to you how the data will, what will be cheaper for you, even the type of cloud that you need to use and the type of requirement. For instance, if you don't need to use orchestration technology like Kubernetes or Docker container, the system will tell you. If you build it with Java, Python, C++, call it anything, or Mongo, React, and all those type of things, the systems use those techniques and pattern it in a very way that they could behave in a very good performance and test. So, but some of these native cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, IBM, they have their own internal system for you to manage your costs. But unfortunately, they are the sellers. They are the ones selling the resources. So technically speaking, there are other third parties that are very in-depth that can also do more than what they do so that you reduce the cost to the very barest minimum. And I want to be very practical here. You don't just depend on the tool. You need engineers that have wealth of experience to be able to review everything based on their experience to put up a best practice, landing zone, a policy in place, review the architecture, check the reference architecture, the best practice to do that. But all these people have to, like AWS has what we call cost explorer, okay? And cost anonymity detections, you can use it for budget. Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure has cost management advisor that can also do budgeting for you. Google Cloud has cost management recommender. Can also, they have something on budget. IBM have cost and asset management. They bought over a company called Turbonomics also that can be used to actually do a source thing for you. Then there are third-party tools like the Cloud Health by VMware, okay, which has capability to manage multiple costs, do cost management and automation platform. We have the Aptos credibility, which is we provide cost visibility, analysis, and recommendation as well. We have the cloud checks, right, which automate costs and even support security clearance. So in terms of best practice, recommended, this is not theory, this is practical, okay? In terms of best practice, tested over time, you need to do what I call tagging. We call it tagging, where you tag your resources. What is these resources used for? You name them one by one. And so when you tag your resources for granular cost allocations and tracking, if you tag them, you can trace where are the bills coming from. You can do what we call budget and alert, where you set a budget that if the cost is this, please let me know so that I can begin to do something, okay? And so you can proactively manage your spending on the cloud. Not beyond that, that's what we call automation, where you automate repeated tasks like resizing, scheduling, and resource optimization. Above all, you need to have a governance, even if it is a common website. What is the governance for me to deploy the software in the cloud? You must establish a clear policy and governance for cloud usage in your organization. And so I know many of our students from Africa, especially, are joining as sponsored by the IDEA project back in Nigeria and assisted by the World Bank. They're on the call listening to me. And perhaps friends or other people, business owners, you're also on the call. And so these are the best practice you can actually adopt to use it. There are also real-world success stories from all I've been talking about that have overrun cost optimizations and they're happy with it. In the healthcare industry, Johnson & Johnson did this. They save about 25%. And the link is there. You can visit it on the AWS cloud platform. Moderna that they are one of the company that was behind the leading vaccine for COVID. They actually did it as well. Financial services like Capital One in the US, they did a lot of that. Berkeley, they did a lot of that. In the airline industry, we have Ryanair did that. Lufthansa Group, they did that. You can check that on the AWS story there. And some other big tech like Netflix. Netflix, who is using AWS heavily, did that and they save a lot of things. Airbnb, as many of you know, did that to the AWS cloud. They did that to reduce their waste as well. Beyond that, as we continue in that, there are a lot of stories. So the takeaway from this real-world story today, number one, right sizing as the cornerstone for reducing cost, automation, your configurations, your budgeting, everything must be right. Spot instances is key. A custom machine type is key. Auto scaling has to be configured. In fact, multiple cloud strategy must be adopted where you are not 100% on Azure, on AWS, on GCP. You must split them based on what they can afford it, okay? So I'm not talking or I'm not selling anything to any of you, but you must utilize what anybody have to benefit you. Okay, the bottom line, of course, all of them are making money by providing you service. You also need to make money by deploying your product. And so there is a need for continuous automation, which is a pathway for cloud saving sustainability. And so in the real world example, like I demonstrated above, it is not a theoretical concept, but a practical necessity for businesses of all size, small, or even you are planning to start, okay? And the industry at large must proactively approach utilizing the right tool and strategy, maybe by even partnering with experts like us in MVIT and organizations to be able to reduce the cloud spending, the overbearing burden on this, and by taking opportunity of this that we are provided. So there is a clear roadmap you must set as we collaborate with you in this journey. You can proactively work with us. I call it proactive management, where your cloud cost optimization is not just a one and a done once a time activity. It is an ongoing journey. By regularly monitoring, analyzing, and optimizing the vital resources across the usages and pattern. Number two, you have to tailor the strategy. There is no one universal solution. If I tell you that, I'm telling you a lie. Every solution that goes to the cloud has its own unique way to use those resources to be able to save. And so the most effective strategy are those you must customize based on your ability, based on your skills, based on the industry, based on the type of mission of application deployed. Beyond all is the expert guardian, which with us in MVIT, partnering with MVIT, we can work with you to be able to provide knowledge to and experience to navigate complex cloud landscape and maximize your return on investment. And so I'm urging you to take the advantage that here in MVIT, we go beyond generic advice. We are veterans in this industry and domain, and we become your strategic partner. If you are trying to build something, we can support you, guide you to build. We work with you, be a student in our training centers or be a business partner. We work with you to do what we call in-depth assessment, where we dive deep into the various cloud providers and meticulously analyze your infrastructures, resources, and spending time. And this assessment, we will identify opportunity that we immediately say and lay the groundwork for long-term automation. Beyond that, we can work with you to bring out what I call custom automation blueprint, which we will craft a tailored roadmap that aligns with your unique business objective, budget constraint, risk tolerance that will be specific to actions and timelines and measurable outcomes that will guide your automation effort. And then with hands-on implementation and continuous automation, this is what we do. We do not just hand you just a plan. No, not at all. We roll out our silver clothes to make sure that we help you implement them. Our teams are in Africa. They are here in the US. Some even sit in Europe, and some even sit in Asia. That can help you to monitor, manage, and transform your body to become your benefit. And that is why in MVIT we have a tool. Of course, at this time it's a beta version, which we work strictly with customers, not public, with people. So it's an AI-powered tool, which we call Jericho AI, very proprietary to us. We keep fine-tuning, making sure they are working. To supercharge the way that people can save. It's an AI intelligent tool that helps you to analyze cloud spend, generate actionable recommendation, automate customizations, and even carry out an audit on your customizations and configurations. Okay, so do not let runaway cloud costs hold you from bringing good ideas. And so you take first step towards moving towards cost effectiveness and reduce costs to be able to release product that can be changing to the community and the society. Our experts, of course, are there to show you all time how you can transform your cloud spending from being a burden into a comfortable type of, what do I call it, advantage. Once again, thank you very much. If you do have questions, I'll be taking your question at this time. Thank you. Gabriel, over to you. We will have question and answer. If anybody have question, Dr. Gabriel is our director in our campus, one of our center back in Nigeria, Otukpo specifically in Benue State. And he is also the head of AI and machine learning with data science. Dr. Gabriel, over to you. If there are questions, we will answer the question before we will now go to the second level of the meeting, solely for our students under the sponsorship and by the Federal Ministry of Health in Education in Nigeria, as assisted by the World Bank. We will have an inner meeting with them immediately after the question and answer. So if there are questions and answers on the call, I will take them now. Dr. Gabriel.
Thank you, Mr. President. That is excellent. I can only begin to imagine how those who didn't attend have missed. Sometimes audio recordings help, but getting to have a face-to-face interaction or getting to have experience interfacing and asking questions physically like this help even more. And as a way of managing the program, I assure you, these attendance will, there's correlation between these attendance and, of course, how your certificate will be issued. So take note, this is not a threat. It's just a way of participation. You demand for these, and of course, we are giving you what you demand. So it's more of demand and supply. So thank you so much, Mr. President. Imagine attending just a 45 minutes or 1 hour session and learning all of those or these things you should learn in 6 months or 9 months. It's great. So at this point, if we have questions, please kindly unmute or raise up your hand and ask questions or add your questions to the chat session. I'll see it and read it out, and Mr. President will respond to us. So any question from anybody? Any question?
Yes, there is a question from Mr.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your presentation was so much. I can't even. It's overwhelming. I appreciate the presentation because I learned a lot. Thank you. Now, in my own side, you made mention of having, if anybody have a plan or a project or something to be able to embark, that the NVIT can look into it. So I sat down having an initiative that if one may have a company as it is, just like you staple out in your flyers the other day that was presented in the WhatsApp group. So if one should have a company and the company is under starting up per stage and wants the NV to kind of create an app that will be able to surface the company in a period of time, manage, and each resources that is coming out from the company, the NVIT takes care of it till the actual years is being completed and hand over back to the person in question. Will it be possible that NVIT can handle such?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, you are one of the students for ideas, right? What program are you doing?
IT support.
Okay, good. Yes, in fact, before we round up, I'm going to show you something because I told you, I think in that group, that we want you to
Yes.
have your own company. And we are going to show you very, very soon. And so MVT is going to work with you. You are going to be divided into group for those of you under the Ideas project, divided into various groups, people from the different programs, developers, uh, data scientists, DevOps, and cloud engineers, and the other people. You are going to form a mix of group, which we will do shortly. I will show you some highlight, but then the director on campus over there in Africa will help you. We want you to have a company when after you have finished this program. And it's going to be company that you are going to co-fund together. Envy will be there to advise you, will be there to guide you. And the first 3 months to 6 months, cloud hosting will be supported from Envy as well. But the truth is that nothing comes for this thing. So since the idea is coming from us and wants to be part of spending our time and effort, MVIT will also take some part of ownership. So like an incubation. Okay, so we take 13% if it makes money at the end of the day. Okay, and when we how to put your business plan together, your pitch deck together, the solution together for basic, okay? And then you go about presenting. The plan, the main plan for this program that you are doing, for those of you listening and our a student from the World Bank assisted program, the plan is to create job at the end of the day. And I can tell you through IT, you can become a millionaire. Okay, if you solve a problem, the problem will solve your own problem. If you provide a solution to a problem, that solution you have created to that problem become your own solution to your own problem, which could be money, which could be economic challenge. Okay, so at the end of this question and answer time, I'm going to light your eye, your brain, your thinking, so that you begin to think. And so that after today, your life will not remain the same. And that's what we are saying. For many people that have not connected, I'm sorry, okay, for them, because I'm going to stop the recording during that session, actually, because it's called brainstorming room. There are problems. Listen to me. The best rich people are created at the worst time in history. The great people in America were created during the Great Reception, okay, that happened in America. That is when people were created. When you talk of Facebook, when you talk of WhatsApp, all these things were created out of terrible issues, okay? Then they create a solution. And so I know in Nigeria, in Africa, and the rest, you face a lot of problems. So you can build something, put it out there in the cloud, you solve a problem. People that have that problem will look for you, and you are gone. You become a wonderful CEO. You become another Elon Musk, another Mark of Facebook, another Jeb Bush. But it is not by mouth. It's not by kidnapping. It's not by going to the road to commit crime. No. If you solve problem will solve you. Solve your own problem. Okay. Does that help you, Simon? Is this Samuel?
Yeah, Samuel Asukwosa.
Okay, Samuel, does that help?
Yeah, it helps.
Okay, thank you. Sir. Any other question, please? Let's be fast because we still have few things to do. The interesting part. I was talking engineering terms before. We'll come to the business side very soon.
All right, sir.
All right, sir. There's a question from me, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, thank you so very much, sir. I really appreciate your speech, and it was eloquent. So for the meantime, I look forward to having that business conversation, like you just rightly said. But for the meantime now, if we want to, though you have sent out flyers to us to do the sharing, but now if we are to get
we flyer for sharing.
no the outlines of the, as in we need to just share out on the Facebook that you sent that we can share to on our pages, Facebook pages.
Yeah, that flyers was for people to attend this meeting.
Okay. All right. So my question is for us to, okay, if that is the case, let me wait to having the conversation with you internally. I think that would be better. Thank you.
Okay, it's all right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any
I want to
other
ask another
question before I
question.
proceed?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, as an IT support engineer,
Yes.
we have been here. Yeah, we have been here. We have been in the school for 3 months. But talking about is a section, because an IT support comprises of different parts of skills that involve in IT. There's a part that it deals with data science, Python, a few littles to comprise of as an IT support engineer, because your work is to have an immediate attention to problems. I guess so. So, but there is a part that we are actually looking at, which is the technical part of it that concerns laying of wiring for network and camera installations and solving network bridging like that. But we haven't touched that side of it, and we're almost running up the program, sir.
That will be part
so
of.
I would have, because that is the side that.
Okay. So that comes during.
Yes, sir. I'm hearing you, sir. I'm all ears, sir.
Okay. We in MVIT we are not training you on hardware per se. Okay, but what you mentioned now is part of internship, which is part of the internship time. Okay, that if you have opportunity to be part of that, that you will do. So those one who haven't learned this other side, which is the core, the software level, the other one is like just showing this is what happened. So that will happen, especially when we go into the meeting that we'll be talking about now.
Okay. Sorry, sir, for the other question. Talking about the intent, is there a criteria that involves one becoming an intern?
The criteria is that you must graduate. The criteria is that you must have graduated from the program, right? You attended very well. You don't just come at the blue and then just want to join the internship. I believe after my meeting today, people that have run away will begin to beg to come back, because I have just shown you technical part. We are going to the business now. Okay. So we'll finish your meeting so that I can quickly go ahead.
All right. Go ahead, sir. I'm done with my question for now, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
Yes, there's a question in the chat.
Good evening, sir.
Hello, hold on. Just hold on.
Good evening,
before
sir.
you answer. Hold on. There's a question in the chat that said, what could be great ideas of cloud startups? So that is to you, Mr. President.
Yeah, so we take that question after the other. The person that put it, is he a student or somebody from outside?
No, I think he's a student.
Okay.
Who is
if
GCGO?
you are one of our students, just wait for us when we get to the next session. What we want to talk about, we answer that question, okay?
It's okay. So
but
somebody
when you
wanted
build
to ask
anything
Go ahead.
anything you are building digital products, either for student, either for fintech or to solve community issue, that is a software, it's a startup cloud. Don't worry, when we go there, you will see very soon. Any other question before we head off to the other session? Any question, please? Okay. Okay, can I start the other session now?
Please, you can go ahead. After
Okay,
you
so
start
thank you very much. So we have ended officially the presentation for this. And so now is student to student. Let me stop the recording. I will not want this to be recorded, okay? This is like almost intellectual property.